What's going on, everyone? Kyle Wolfe back here with you with another video. We got the weekend off. No Supercross this weekend, but we still have some stories to cover. Let's get into it. For the second time this year, no Supercross. Final break of the season. 17 races in a year over the course of 19 weekends. These guys need a break. I'm kind of surprised with the scheduling that the final break wasn't taken over Easter, but we're off this weekend. And some big news in the racing world, of course. I'm sure you've all seen by now. Adam Cianciarulo announcing his retirement at the end of the season. And it's just a bummer. You know, he came in with so much hype. He didn't put in the results. He didn't get the results, I should say, that everyone, was expecting, especially coming out of amateurs. He was one of the most successful riders at Loretta Lynn's history. It didn't work out, but what's cool about Adam's story is, well, for one, he's one of the good guys. Everybody likes Adam. Honestly, with the injuries that he's been dealing with for pretty much his entire career, we were kind of thinking this might have happened a year or two ago, but, he kept trying, he kept going. Ultimately, the nerve damage in his arm, it's just not getting any better. He heard from people, he can only, hold a phone for so long or, text for so long. And then before it starts to mess him up, and then the next time he rides, it affects him, just from texting on a phone, just it's that bad. So just, like so many other guys, their careers were cut short due to injuries, like Rick Johnson. Ernesto Fonseca was one that, was coming on strong right before he got hurt. So it's just another one of those instances where, you hope that there was going to be a turnaround coming, and it just didn't happen, unfortunately, and it's really a shame. He did, however, he got that outdoor title in the 250 class a handful of years ago, and he won 450 outdoors in the 2020 season, narrowly getting that title to Zach Osborne. He just lost out on it. So he had some success, and you look back to his rookie year, and he won the first, 3 or 4 250 Supercrosses before his first shoulder injury, and he was out for the year. He comes back, he gets hurt again at an off-season European race. It was either Genoa or Geneva, one of those two. Gets hurt again, misses Supercross the next year. And it was just a compounding thing with all of his injuries and all that. But, like I said, he did get that 250 outdoor title. But the one thing I really, think is a cool story with Adam is the fact that his story of how he got into racing, he didn't come from a racing family. His mom and dad knew nothing about racing. He was, 3, 4, 5 years old, something like that, and they were flipping through channels on the TV, and they came across a race, and it intrigued him, and, his mom and dad were cool enough to say, all right, let's try, let's see what happens here, and we get what we have gotten with Adam, throughout his whole career, amateurs, pros, and everything else. And, that's what we want. That, when we keep talking about growing the sport, we want to hit those new eyeballs. Adam was one of those new eyeballs, and it's awesome that, we got what we got out of him, for his career and from where he came from, and the fact that he wasn't born into this, like, 95 or more % of us are. And it's just cool. We want that kind of growth in this sport. And right now, we keep hearing that there's growth. I don't know if I see it, but if there's anybody moving forward post racing that can bridge that gap into new audiences, Adam would be that guy. Absolutely. And, I'm not going to get into this whole deal. There's other channels that'll do enough of the ripping on RC in the booth, and I'm critical of it, but I'm not going to go blasting it on here. But when Adam's been in the booth in the past, he's done a phenomenal job. And what I like about him, especially, like I said, he wasn't born into this, but Adam studies this sport. He knows the history more than a lot of guys that he's racing with that grew up in this. Adam knows what this guy got at this race when Adam was 4 years old. He knows. He studies this. And, he's passionate about it, and I love that about him. And, I talked to him once or twice years ago, just briefly, about, just whatever. I can't remember what the topics were, but he was such a nice guy back then, a nice kid. He was still 17, 18 years old when I talked to him, so it's been a while. He's the whole package, from being great with the fans, great with the media, everybody in the industry in the paddock at Supercross and the outdoors likes him. That's the guy you want, especially for him having the knowledge and the passion that he has to move the needle forward for dirt bike racing and to get it into that new audience and to get it in, further into the mainstream. And that's what's really cool. So, Adam, for myself, it was great to watch you ride. I'm sure you're going to ride at some point, just not at the professional level anymore, but I'm sure you'll get your arm figured out and be on a motorcycle. But it's been great to watch your career, even pre, in the amateur ranks and watching you grow up through the mini bike ranks and all that. So it was just cool to be a part of it and to watch it. And yeah, good luck on the next adventure. So thanks, Adam Cianciarulo. Again, he's retiring at the end of this season, so we wish you the best of luck into the future. All right, one other thing that's popping up, and I haven't seen a whole lot of other people talk about this week, but it caught my eye, and it's from Stark, the electric motorcycle company, with their Stark Varg, and they're in beta development right now, or they released an app for their electric bike, for their Varg. It's a beta setting. It's called Race Mode, and it's programmable to what they say it was 48 horsepower and 60 horsepower, and it's locked in for a certain amount of time. And I'll throw the video up right now.
New racing mode.
Inside your Varg app, you will find a new function. With that, you can effectively lock your bike power output for a limited amount of time. And you will have to choose between 48 horsepower, which is for MX2, and then MX1 with 60 horsepower. Once locked, the LED light will indicate that you're in race mode. We have launched this beta version as a glimpse of a soon-to-come full pro subscription.
Looking forward to seeing everyone out on track.
So they didn't say this in the video, and they didn't say this in a post, and I haven't seen a press release on it yet, but I'm assuming what the whole race mode is and being able to lock it in for a certain amount of time is the fact that, they're wanting to get into pro racing, FIM and AMA. They did the UK Arena Cross series this year. Justin Bogle won on it. I think they even won the championship with it. What the other guy's name is that was teammates with Bogle, they both ran that Stark. Bogle won races. The other guy won the championship, which was huge, especially in the first year. But they want to get into the world championships, the MXGP series, and they wanted to get in the AMA, Supercross and Motocross series. So from what I can tell, just, going, initial reaction, for them to program it to 48 and 60 horsepower, which is, the equivalent or the max anyway of what a 250 four-stroke and a 450 are, to be able to lock it in. So once, if that day comes where Stark is allowed into MXGP and AMA racing, they can't just flip the switch and run a faster bike, especially in the 250 class, than what the 250s are capable of, and just, pull away from them. They're not going to let that happen. So being able to lock it in for a weekend, and they said 24, 48, and 72 hours. So 24 hours, is plenty fine for the AMA side, since we're only doing a one day format in the outdoors, and 24 hours is still, 48 hours would be enough for the Supercross, since we do Friday press and then the Saturday race. MXGP, they would need that 72 hours, since they do Saturday warm-ups, then the qualifying, then the Sunday racing. So they could get away with 48, but there's probably, I don't know if they do press over at those races, but even if they do, then they would need the 72 for sure. Having that as a feature, and like I said, it's in beta, and they said in the video that it was going to be a future pro subscription, so I'd imagine that'd be something around $10 a month, $20 a month maybe. I'm just speculating, but it's interesting to see them make that initial step and be like, hey, we want to be competitive, but we want to be fair, and we're willing to work with you. So here's the specs. Here's a locked in amount of time, so we can't change it and have an unfair advantage. So I think that's very cool by the guys at Stark to implement that kind of technology into it. And that's something that Alta never did. Alta never, they never gave up the information. They never had the AMA or the FIM sign, an NDA, as far as I know, to say, hey, you can't release this information to other companies, to the general public, and so forth. And that's why Alta never got the contract with, never got into pro racing. The equity investment that they were going to get from Harley Davidson went away. All that is because Alta wouldn't give up the information. Stark, it looks like, is providing the information. They're providing solutions to problems that could arise, since it's battery technology, of course. But for the fact that they are bringing that to the table is really huge, and hats off to them for doing it. And I think eventually we're gonna get electric technology. I don't think it's gonna take over like how the four strokes did. I don't see that happening, but I do think that electric will be mixed in at some point within the next 5 years or so. That's gonna wrap it up for this one. Gonna have an update either later this weekend or early next week from the Enduro GP season, the World Enduro Championships. Their first race is going on right now in Portugal today and tomorrow, as of this recording, which is Saturday. Going to be providing updates from that. The National Enduro Series makes their second stop in Louisiana tomorrow on Sunday, so hopefully get some information from that. But I thank you guys for watching. We're getting so close to 1,000 subscribers right now, so if you would, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and you guys know what to do on that end. And I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.